Here's the thing. You play games less than you think.
That is true.
Every time you're like, I'll play this game hundreds of times. You probably played it like 6 times.
No, you haven't.
You haven't. So, but these are the most played games ever.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph, and yes, we are here to talk about the games that we have played the most over the history of our being board gamers.
Yeah, or at least, for the most part that we think we've played the most. We have some stats because we started tracking our games a couple years ago, but we've been playing games for a little while now. So but these are the games we've played the most, which again, you've always played games less than you think.
Sure. I mean, you know, if you get to a certain point in having a collection, you're just usually bopping around from game to game and stuff, and so you only come back around every so often. At least that's been the case for us. We like to change it up, so that might be an us thing. But
well, I just feel like especially if you play longer games or bigger games, those experiences are so big that a lot of times you're like, man, I played this game a ton. It's like you've probably only played a game like 3 times. It just feels like more because the gameplay is so robust and stuff like that.
Yeah, for example, like my favorite game, that I've said many of our top hundreds stuff is Feast for Odin, and I've played that 17 times. Yeah. Which is a lot, mind you, but it's just like, I would assume it's my favorite game. I played a bit. No, like that's it. So
I will say that this is going to be a mix between physical and digital plays of these things, because we do play both ways, and we do think that both are valid. Yep. But just know that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. And again, down in the comments below, let us know what your most played game is, or your most played games, and subscribe while you're down there.
Hi, I'm Jimmy. Did you know that I have my own top 10 of this list on a Patreon? Brr, 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 brr. Check it out today.
Crazy, am I right?
Oh, gosh. Oh, so it like that.
All right, so number 10, this is going to be kind of
weird.
I mean, I don't think it is. I don't have an issue with this. Gloomhaven.
Let us know in the comments if this is weird. Yeah.
I don't think it is, because the whole thing with Gloomhaven, that when we talk about it, we're like, oh, well, it's technically one game to play through the campaign. However, you're playing many 30, 45, hour-long scenarios that comprise of this. Yeah. And I think partially the reason we think I don't know if it counts, is because we played all the way through Gloomhaven, 100% of all scenarios and content in that box in 1 week. There's actually a video where you can watch the recap of how we did that. But I think it's totally valid. So, if you're playing through every scenario like we did, you're playing many games over and over and over.
Many games. Again, it was a lot of work to do in 1 week. But yeah, so Gloomhaven, again, is kind of like a dungeon crawl. It's scenario-based. It's a legacy game.
Yeah, a lot of campaign games fall into this. We're like, what constitutes a play?
Yeah, and that's why it's number 10. Ultimately, if we're counting each scenario's game played, this is probably the top 5, but we're kind of putting it here because we're like, I don't really know. Some people would probably say this is one gameplay. Some would say it's over 100. It's not. We have played Gloomhaven a bunch outside of that. We played a whole bunch of scenarios. We've played the digital version a whole bunch. Really love Gloomhaven. It's a big dungeon crawl game. Like I said, you're going through various scenarios. You have characters. It's got really great card play where when you play a card, you can either play the top half of the card or the bottom, and you'll play another card, you'll play the opposite of that. So you chose the bottom, then you'll play the top. And then usually one's gonna have some more movement kind of stuff, someone's gonna have some more damage type stuff. And then every scenario you have some kind of goal. A lot of times it's like, hey, eliminate all the enemies, or you might need to go to the back and pull a switch. It's all very dungeon crawly stuff.
Absolutely. You have different characters that you'll kind of level up as you go.
Yeah,
they eventually will potentially retire, because they also have their mission that they're going for, their main overarching mission. And then you'll pick up a new character. You'll unlock new characters. There's a ton of cool stuff. And we've gotten a lot of mileage outside of just that challenge with Gloomhaven. So it's been one that's been played a lot. And I know there's a lot of other people who are like, I put some time into that, or Frosthaven, or whatever.
Number 9, I think it's the newest.
I think it's the newest game
on our list, and we have played this game physically a whole bunch, and then Mike has played 60 games of this digitally as well. This is going to be the White Castle.
I played a lot of it.
I love the White Castle. One, because it's snappy. You'll also see that a lot of these games are going to be somewhat smaller, because again, getting one of our oldest games that we've played, early on in our gaming career, we started playing Zombicide, but Zombicide's a huge game, so we probably only played it 20 times realistically. The White Castle, though, is pretty darn snappy. This came out a couple years ago now, and this is a kind of dice drafting, dice placement game where you'll place dice in these various areas and do these different actions. There are 3 kind of main actions like gardeners that you can put out that will give you some bonuses. You can put out warriors to go train, and that'll give you some bonuses. And then you can put out your courtiers in the castle, which will also give you bonuses. And this game is all about combo womboing, which we love some combo wombos. We have a combo wombo shirt.
We do.
We have a combo wombo shirt. New merch is coming, by the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of
very
merch
soon.
in the works.
So very exciting, all the new
Just
merch.
get excited for that.
We only get 9 turns in the game.
You only get 9 turns. You're going to draft 9 dice over 3
together.
rounds, 3 turns per round. And it's really about extracting as many kind of actions as possible because there are oftentimes they take a warrior action. If I take it by spending 3 steel, I get to go into this particular field, which gives me a courtier action. So I'm going to go over here and put that up to here and gain these extra resources. So the next turn I can play a gardener, which might allow me to do an action on my personal player board and stuff like that. So you are trying to find the dots and connect them. Like, okay, if I do this over here, that's going to cascade into this thing over here, provide me these resources, which I can then allocate down here. And trying to find that flow of like gaining resources, which feel like kind of dead turns, and then using those resources to pull off those main actions that you mentioned to kind of trigger all the other stuff. And as you remove workers of various sorts from your player board, that'll unlock a lot of your scoring as well. You know, your gardeners, the more expensive spaces are on, the more valuable they'll be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the reason I keep playing this game over and over, why we keep playing this game over and over, is it's always interesting because the board is very variable. Like from game to game, the board state, what sort of things are available, the cards that are available and stuff will change throughout the game even. And as that's all laid out, that creates all these different opportunities or challenges for like, oh, how do I find the synergy here? It's an interesting puzzle every time. So it's just one that I'll keep playing because I always like the idea of like, I'm going to maximize this.
Yeah, you got to maximize it. It's always a fun puzzle.
Yep.
Next up is going to be Paint the Roses. This is a game that we have played a whole bunch, and we've introduced it to so many different people. This is always one kind of when I go to. It's not a gateway game, but I'd say it's probably a little too complicated, a little too high.
But it's
concept for a lot because it's a deduction game and it's a cooperative deduction game, so it's kind of hard for like brand new people. But it's really not that complicated.
Yeah.
But it's just so dang fun. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's a game where you are trying to complete the Queen of Hearts. You're in the world of Alice in Wonderland. You're trying to complete their garden by placing these tiles, which are going to have shrubs and roses of different colors, and the shrubs will be different shapes, the suits of cards. And you have all been told different things that the Queen wants. I want, diamond bushes next to diamond bushes, or I want red roses next to purple roses, all sorts of things like this. And so you're placing tiles, and then if I'm the active player, I'll place a tile, and then I can put down cubes for basically every match this is made for the whim card that I have.
Yeah.
But if on that turn, other players have now made matches, they put cubes down there as well. So I really love the ability for information to be gained about players who are not the active player.
Yes.
I think it's really cool. You're trying to do strategic kind of, elimination of options and stuff and kind of getting down to, what you think someone's whim card might be. Because every turn you have to guess one card.
You have to.
At least one card. So hopefully you have as much information as possible, because if you succeed and guess correctly, I think it's yellow to pink or whatever for flowers, you get to then move your little gardeners around this board, but you also have the Queen who is chasing you down. Every turn they're going to move, and if ever they catch your player piece, you're done. So you need to be guessing correctly. If you guess incorrectly, the Queen moves double.
Yeah.
So that's bad. And it's just a really interesting, like this game, I feel like every time we start to explain it, people go, huh?
Yeah.
And then halfway through that game, they're like, oh, I see how you can start to communicate.
It's also a game you tend to play twice, because after the first game, they're like, I now get it, let's play it again.
Almost always has been that way, where we play like back to back. So it's ended up racking up a lot of plays, and it's one that we love showing to new people.
It's one of my favorite games. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Next up is going to be Scout.
Man.
A lot of small box card games get played a lot because they're very easy to get to the table. It's very easy to play multiple games of it back to back to back to back to back. And Scout is very much that. When we first got Scout, particularly that first year, we were taking it everywhere with us. We were playing it with everyone. And we don't play it nearly as much as we used, but every time I play, I'm like, gosh, that's right, I freaking love Scout.
Yeah.
Scout is a card shedding game. A card shedding game is, again, where you're trying to just get rid of all the cards in your hand.
Don't want no cards.
That is how you're going to score the most points. That's how you're going to do the best. And this is a game also called a ladder climbing game where someone will put down a card on the table and then you have to beat that card. So if they put down a 1, you can put down a 2. Then the next person can put down a 7 because all those are higher. But what beats 1 card will be 2 cards. So if someone has a 9 down there, someone can put down 2 1s because there's 2 cards over 1. They beat that one. Any cards you beat, you will get to collect, and those are all going to be worth points. And so you are trying to beat these cards. Now, the kind of wrinkle point with Scout, because a lot of games kind of work like that, the wrinkle point with Scout is you get a hand of cards. Each card has a value on one side and a different value on the other side. And you get your hand and you're not allowed to arrange it like you normally would in like a card game or
however the cards are dealt or how
that's how it is. You can choose to mulligan, which means you then can flip your hand over because maybe the other side is going to be better for you because when you're playing out the cards, you can only play cards that are next to each other. So if you have a 3, and then a 3, you cannot play all those together unless they're actively next to each other in your hand.
Yep.
So every single time you play this, it's interesting because you just go, okay, here's my puzzle. How am I going to try and maximize this puzzle? Because again, you can't arrange it. But you kind of can, or at least you can mitigate the bad stuff with scouting.
Yeah, so if you can't beat what's in the center of the table, or if you simply do not want to.
You can always choose not to, yeah.
You can scout, and what you'll do is you'll take one of the cards that's on the table and put it into your hand. You have to give whoever played, so say Nick played the strongest hand, I have to give you a point.
Yes, to do so.
And then you can take one of the cards that's on the end of the hand in the middle, and then you can put that card anywhere in your hand, either side up. So you can then put together, oh, now I have 2 8s in a row, or put together something stronger and kind of play for the future.
Yeah.
Now, again, you are putting cards in your hand, which if the round ends, every card in your hand is negative points. Yep. So you're playing with fire a little bit there, but you have to kind of find your road to getting rid of all of your cards. If you're stuck with like 1, 2, at the end of a round, you're not getting rid of that card.
It's really
it's just not going to be possible to play it and have it be the strongest thing played. So you're really trying to kind of strategically add to your hand so you can play these big things later. Hopefully play something no one can beat so everyone has to scout and give you a bunch of points and things like that. There's just a lot of really fun, interesting things to consider. A lot of wrinkles in the game, with a game that is ultimately fairly simple in terms of turn structure.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so good. Number 6 is probably our most played, like kind of small card game, and this is Abandon All Artichokes.
Dude, I love this game so much.
We have played this game so much in real life, and then Mikey has played so much of it online too.
I play against my wife a lot. We'll like go back and forth and play Abandon All Artichokes.
Abandon All Artichokes is unreasonably fun. It's just it's a deck wrecking game. So basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying kind of like a card shedding game. We're talking about Scout. You're basically trying to you're trying to not have certain things in your hand. So basically, you start off with a game with 10 artichokes. You don't want any artichokes. You want to abandon all the artichokes. And you will win the game is when you draw your hand back up to 5 at the end of the round. If you happen to draw no artichokes, that's how you win, which is already a weird and interesting win condition.
Yeah, at the end of your turn specifically, you
check
draw
to see if you draw.
and then check.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very interesting. So you only start with artichokes, but you can buy stuff from like the garden row, which will be all these different kinds of vegetables that are all just very cute looking. But they're going to do stuff when you play them. When you play them, they might allow you to compost, which is you getting rid of stuff. In this case, you want to get rid of artichokes. You can maybe pass cards to other people, so hopefully try to get them artichokes and not yourself. All these different ways to manipulate it, but you're basically trying to set up your deck as much as you can so that you can hopefully draw a hand of no artichokes.
Yeah, I think like what I like about this game is just the interesting concept of like, I start with only this thing that's bad, so I need to get rid of enough of them that my odds of drawing a hand with no artichokes is higher. And there's like, each type of vegetable has sort of like a different mechanism to it. Like you said, there's ones where you have to pass 2 cards. That's card drafting. There's stuff where you draw a card off the deck of another player, and you can either keep that card for yourself or put it on their discard pile. There's a little bit, take that. There's different things like that. There's a little bit of like, almost push your luck with the potato cards. You're going to draw the top card of your deck, and if it's a artichoke, it gets composted. If it's a vegetable card, you discard it. So now you don't get to use that on the next turn. There's all these like little things in different ways to kind of work your system. And I just think like it does a lot of stuff in a very small tin, the only acceptable board game tin.
The only acceptable tin.
Because it's artichoke shaped, and that's amazing.
Sure
and like the premise is simple. Get rid of them artichokes.
Yeah.
Here's these vegetables. The art is really cute. And it gives you a lot of fun, like feelings of different kinds of games while staying very light, so I don't mind the mean stuff. It's just fun. It's just one of the most just truly enjoyable games I've ever played, and that's why I will just keep playing it over and over and over again.
Next up is going to be maybe the biggest game on our list. Maybe Gloomhaven's technically bigger, but this is going to be Ark Nova. We have played a ton of Ark Nova.
Yeah.
Again, both physically, I've soloed it a whole bunch.
Yep.
We've played it digitally a whole bunch. We played it recently digitally and stuff like that. We've played a lot of Ark Nova. Yep. And honestly, I'm not even remotely near tired of it.
It's so good. It's a game where you're running a zoo, which is something that we like dig. We dig the idea
I love zoos.
Of zoos and conservation and stuff like that. So in this one, you're running a zoo, and you are going to be acquiring these animal cards, kind of meeting their prerequisites and then paying to put them into your zoo, into enclosures. You're also focusing on conservation efforts, and those are going to be represented in 2 different tracks. So one will be your appeal, how nice it is to walk through your zoo. Oh, that's a cool animal. That's 10 appeal or whatever. And then your conservation track will be moving around a different direction, and the game will end once you cross those 2 tracks. So you can focus on all conservation, all appeal, a mix of the 2. And it has a really interesting kind of action selection system. There's 5 types of actions, and when you take an action, say it's the cards action, I'm going to draw some cards, that wherever it is in the kind of queue, you have 1 through 5, it will then go back to the 1 and shift all the other cards forward in a higher number, which means those actions are going to be stronger. Because if you take it at a 4, it's going to be a better version of the action than if you take that action at the 1. Yeah. So you're really kind of sequencing your actions, trying to get the strongest possible versions of your actions. You are putting out workers to work on conservation projects, to get kind of a partnership with a sister zoo from a different nation, get these universities or sponsor cards, which do a whole bunch of stuff. There's just a ton of ways to go about this game. And I think that's what makes it so kind of infinitely playable. It's like, well, I can do this, or I can do that, or this thing over here gives me access to, this type of tag, kind of like Terraforming Mars, where some cards are prerequisites. So there's all sorts of things to exploit, and it's really fun to explore like every possible combination and strategy and stuff, and that'll largely be determined by what cards are in the market in that game that are available for you, which changes a lot.
Yeah, it's a banger. Number 4 is the game that we've been playing the longest.
I'd say continuously, right?
For sure, right? And that is going to be Cribbage. Oh, yeah. Cribbage is a game you play with a standard deck of cards. We were taught this game by our grandparents. If you've seen around the various sets in our studio here, we always have Cribbage boards. Anyone behind us here?
Probably.
I don't think we do, actually.
On the other set. Anyway.
We usually have one behind us somewhere. We love Cribbage. Cribbage is one of our favorite games. It was taught to us by our grandparents. We played it with various uncles and stuff, and we just been nonstop playing it since we were kids. Yeah. No idea how many games of it we've played, but it's a whole bunch.
It very well could be the number 1
maybe,
unofficially,
who knows?
But yeah.
I think it's probably around here, but who really knows? But yeah, Cribbage is such a good game. It's a 2-player game, or you can play 4 players or 3 players, but mostly it's a 2-player game. Yeah. Where you are trying to get 140 points?
121.
21, that's right. 121 points first, and you get that through getting these cards. You get 6 cards in your hand. You will keep 2 of them, 4 of them rather. 2 of them will go to a crib, which the dealer will have, and then you will play out your cards back and forth, trying to score. And you will score by putting a pair down. So Mike puts on a 7, I put down a second 7. Boom, that's a pair. If you get to 15, so if Mike puts down a 7, then I put down an 8. Boom, I get 2 points.
If you make a run of cards, I then play a 9. 7, 8, 9 makes a 3-card run. I get 3
you get
points.
To 31.
All sorts of stuff.
All these different ways you can score points. And that's kind of you're playing the cards, and then after you're done, each person's played all their cards, you'll each pick them up, and then the non-dealer will then score their hand. It's very similar if you get 15s, runs, pairs, triplets, all these kinds of different things, flushes. You can score all of them, and then the dealer will score their hand, and then they get to score their crib as well. So the crib, again, was those 2 cards that you gave them, and then they gave themselves 2 cards. So you kind of get an extra scoring thing, but you score second, which can matter if you're like really close to the end of the game.
Yeah, if you're right at the end of the game, you kind of want to be the non-dealer so you can score first and maybe get,
because it ends immediately.
First.
But it's a standard deck of cards kind of game. It's incredible. It's so much fun. It's just great. And again, we played on teams with our grandparents, where it's It's cribbage, you know. It's so
so
cool.
social. It's a very social card game.
Yes,
it's fairly
the kind
light
of
on
game you play at
rules.
the pub and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You play late at night over a cup of coffee or whatever.
You can chat while you do it.
Yes, it's just so good. It's been really kind of fun and gratifying to see so many people. And let us know down in the comments you're the same way too. But it's like the people have been like, oh yeah, like I was taught by my grandparents, and like I then just taught my daughter and my son and stuff like that. And then hopefully they'll teach their kids. And it's one of those games that's just passed through generations.
Yeah.
And like I can't wait till we can teach Logan and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it really helped us
just,
as kids with our addition skills,
Yes.
like arithmetic and stuff, which was like very useful.
It's just the best. It's so much fun. I love cribbage, and we've played it a whole bunch.
Nick, this is the game that's responsible for getting us into the hobby.
Makes sense. We played it a lot.
It makes sense we play it a lot, and we've also brought other people into the hobby via Pandemic.
Yes.
Pandemic is a game that I think the first time we played like 4 games in a row, which was then a common reoccurrence for the many early years in our board gaming hobby, before we started collecting games, before we really knew like the width of the hobby.
Yeah.
We had Pandemic, and we would play it. Game nights with our friend David or something. We'd play like 3 games back to back. We had these kind of nights where we'd play it multiple times in a row, and trying different characters and different combinations and stuff. In a game, this is the cooperative game, where you're trying to save the world from a disease that's spreading around. So you're trying to manage the kind of crises that are
it's a crisis management game, really.
outbreaking literally and stuff like that, and trying to get the kind of control over these cities while you're searching for cures for these diseases. That's how you eventually win the game, is get cures so you can turn the tide in your favor. And I think like especially for us being early in the hobby, we weren't so interested in competitive games.
Yeah.
I wanted to work together. It felt a little too intimidating to play something where it's really heads up and stuff. Right. I was like, no, I don't want that. So we have a common goal, which I think was really good. It was the first time we'd ever seen something like variable player powers.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why Pandemic was such a successful gateway game for a lot of people.
Sure.
Because one, so we've talked about this a lot, and like I kind of want to do a video about this, like what makes a good gateway game. And I think one of the main things is like you need to show people something different. And what I mean by that is like if you've only ever played Monopoly and Sorry, these kind of mass market games, you got to show them something that's just different to that, to basically make them go like, oh, I didn't know board games could be this. It's one of the reasons why I think Carcassonne is such a good gateway game, because the board starts out as a single tile, and it's like, that's it, and we're going to build the rest of it. And that's just so
very different.
foreign if you've only played like Sorry and Monopoly, right?
Right.
And Pandemic is that way because of the fact that, one, it's cooperative. That's already very different. It's got a theme that you can understand, right? It's like, hey, there's diseases breaking out. We're trying to stop that. But then, like you just said, I think a huge one is like everyone gets to play a different role.
Yeah.
If you're the medic, you're like really good at curing the diseases. If you're a scientist, you're really good at like finding the cures for the disease. It's just so cool. And I think that's one of the reasons why it grabbed us so much, is because we were like, I didn't know any of this could exist. And then we just played it, and there's a long period of our adult lives where we had like Pandemic, Catan, and maybe one other game for years and years and years, and that's kind of all we played.
That was it.
And then we finally dove farther and farther in, and here we go, right? But it's like Pandemic is what started it. We've played it, I have no idea how many times, but a lot. Number 2, we've said, is our number 1 played game for a very long time, and I think it has officially been beaten by our true number 1, but this is going to be Legendary, a Marvel deck building game.
Dude.
We've played a lot of Legendary. There was a period of about a year where me, Mike, and Mike's girlfriend at the time would play this game. Like, we'd probably play it a couple nights a week, and then every time we'd play it, we'd play like 2 to 4 games of it.
Yeah.
And so,
it was
and
like
we
an
did
evening,
that
an actual
for
whole
like
evening.
a year.
Yeah, seriously.
And we
played a lot.
just over and over and over. And one of the cool reasons we did that is because every game is different. Because in Marvel Legendary, if you don't know, you are taking on a suite of 5 heroes, like Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey. I'm just naming X-Men. There's more than other just X-Men. The Beast, Magneto, all these different X-Men. Only X-Men. No, a whole bunch of different Marvel characters. Everyone you can think of. Black Panther, a lot of really weird ones. There's like a whole bunch of characters in it. And then you're going up against a mastermind, and there's a ton of different masterminds, like Magneto and Kingpin and this person, all these different masterminds. They will each have a scheme they're trying to do, and there's like tons and tons of different schemes, and then they'll have villains that are with them, and there's tons of different villain groups. And the cool thing about this game is it's just a big mashup. So you will take 5 heroes.
Yep.
You will choose a mastermind, choose a scheme, choose villain groups, and then mash it all together, and then that's your game. So then the next game we're playing immediately after that game, we'll choose 5 different heroes, and then a different mastermind, and a different scheme, and different villain groups, and it's just different every single time. And we bought so much of it. And again, at this point, we have not even half of what's out there because we stopped collecting it a long time ago.
Right.
And I think as it is right now, we have like over 100 heroes. There's like 40 masterminds. There's like well over 100 different schemes. There's like 30 different villain groups. So again, the combination possibilities are in like the quintillions probably, realistically. So it's like you're never playing the same game twice.
No. We would get into just using a randomizer to be like, okay, we don't even care which heroes. We just want to see what happens if you put this hero with this random scheme on this random mastermind. Can we win the game? And it became a really fun challenge that we would, again, go through over and over and over again. And for that year plus. And then we still played it frequently.
Yeah, still love it. But
after that. But there was that year plus where it was just...
It was nonstop.
We were throwing down like 6 games a week, probably.
Yeah.
Easily.
It was insane. I mean, absolutely insane the amount that we played. It was so much.
So fun, though. It's a great deck builder.
We just never got tired of it. It was great. It's our number 2. I think it's still our number 2 because this is also before we were logging play, so we don't really know how many games we played, but a whole hell of a lot.
Yes.
But I think number 1 has it beat out, and it's just, it's so good. All right, now don't add us because this is kind of 2 games.
Yeah, but each one individually is an impressive number.
That is, yes.
This is the crews, both of the crews. One of which, let me get the exact stats. Let me get the exact stats so you don't add us, okay? Don't at us.
Because I think we were tracking the entire time we played the crew.
We were, because this was right when we started tracking plays. So we have played the crew Mission Deep Sea, the newest crew, 53 times. We played the original crew 107 times.
So we're looking at...
So either way, it's way up there.
Yeah.
But 100 plays is a lot.
So
we're going to include both crews because it's like 160 odd plays between the 2. But even just the original crew is 100 plus on its own. So
this is one of those games. It's a small game. It's a quick game. It's a trick taker. You can play it over and over and over and over again.
We did.
And it is what we, I mean, gosh, that first week where we played it.
I think we played like 50 times in that week.
I think we did. Yeah, it was because this is right when COVID hit. We were overseas.
Literally the first week of COVID.
Yeah, literally. Like it was like week 1. It was nuts. And we were in London. We were in England with Paula, Matthew, and then your wife, Karen. Yep. You got engaged on that trip.
Sure did.
Locked it up. Where'd you
it was in the finest swamp in Stourbridge. This is how I like to think of it. It was in a bog.
It was in a bog, but it's great. But nonetheless, it was nuts. The city was like shutting down because this is when beginning of COVID, everything started shutting down.
Yeah.
So we literally kind of couldn't go anywhere. And we had just bought the crew at a convention we were just at, AirCon. And then we were like, well, we kind of can't go anywhere or do anything. And it's really scary right now. We're not sure if we can get home. So I guess we'll just play 5-person the crew for like hours.
In the hotel lobby for hours and hours because we didn't know what else to do.
Yeah. And then we just kept playing it after that because it's incredible.
Yeah, and like it became a really special thing, and like we really liked the game, even if it wasn't in this strange time.
Yeah.
It was just a really fun, special game. We enjoy trick-taking games. We enjoy cooperative games.
Yeah.
It's something that, we were able to bring Karen into, and she didn't have as much history with trick-takers and stuff like that, and kind of bring her into the fold, and she really liked it so much. And so, like, it became this just really awesome thing that we did. And then when we got Mission Deep Sea, the second version of the crew, which is the definitive version, just get that version moving forward, it was the same thing again where we're like, and we played a whole bunch when we first got it in this, like, flurry because it's just so fun. So basically, in this game, you will get a mission that will give you'll get certain task cards. And these are going to be all sorts of different random things you have to do. So it might be like, this person needs this specific number and color of card. This person can't get any of the rocket cards, which are sort of the, the suit breaking cards. This person here cannot win any tricks, all sorts of stuff like that.
This person has to win the last trick.
So based on however many of these tasks are out there, you have to find a way to play your cards in such a way that everyone has their task met. And that can be very difficult sometimes because it's like, I need to win this like low card. So how am I going to win a trick and get this low card if I'm the one who holds that low card,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Or something like that. So you have to get really tricky with it. It's a great way to learn trick-taking kind of technique and strategy. And it's just infinitely playable because, you know, the stack in both of the versions of the game, the stack of those mission cards is big. So it's always going to be a different mix of stuff. And then depending on where you are in kind of the campaign, if you choose to play that way, you'll have to do more or fewer tasks and stuff like that. It's just so much fun to explore. Foster People is dead wrong about saying it's bad. I don't get why they say that.
Bad taste.
It bums me out because they act like you can't talk. I'm like, you can. You just can't say what cards you have, which is like literally every game ever made is that. What are you talking about? Anyway.
I love to see it. Yeah.
Jeff and Jamie are wrong. That's the
But
point.
nonetheless, the crew, it's at the top. I mean, we've played it, according to that, like at least 150, 170 times for that. Probably more, honestly.
AKA a lot of times.
A whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that is our list of top 10 most played games. They're probably in that order or some semblance of that.
Right,
I
thereabouts.
think these are our most 10 played games pretty definitively.
I feel honestly pretty good about these.
Yeah,
order.
so we'll see. Again, it's one of those things. We're just kind of talking about our most played games. But down in the comments, let us know, what are your most played games? If
What do you
know,
keep coming back
yeah,
to?
and if you know how many plays, let us know in the comments below. Some people were like, I played this game 1,000 times. We're like, wow, that's honestly
lot.
legit impressive.
If you're wondering, we use BG Stats.
Yes.
It's a free app to track our plays. You can link it with your Board Game Geek account.
Yes.
You can import plays from things like Board Game Arena
Yep.
straight into here automatically and stuff like that. It's very useful. We
Yes.
started it in 2020.
Yes.
And so now it's been 5 full, or
Four
four
full
full
years,
years and going on 5 of like collecting this data, which is really fun to look back on. I think I've played in just the stat tracking era 3,643 games.
6,000.
Not different games, but plays of games.
43 games. Wow.
But 1,076 different games. Isn't that crazy?
That's almost 1,000 a year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. But nonetheless, let us know again your games you played the most of. You've been seeing our patrons scroll by here. We really appreciate our patrons.
Become a patron today.
There's a whole bunch of fun stuff over there. We don't have one for this one, but a lot of times there's kind of like a secondary top 10 over there. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, just a bunch of silly stuff, best of the weeks, things like that. Make sure to check out Patreon if you want to get you some of that.
Yep.
And that's going to be it, y'all. Thank you all so much for being here, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll see y'all real soon.
Thank you again for checking out that top 10. Don't forget, on the Patreon, my top 10 is available for my most played games. Also, big shout out to this month's sponsor, JR. We love that guy or gal, we don't know. Either way, they're great, and thank you for sponsoring.